Hi guys. If you're here for a book review, um, hello. I appreciate you, but this video probably is not for you today. Respectfully. If you somehow scrolled down far enough while looking for um, Ethan and iDubbbz hot takes, hello. Welcome. You probably will not find much on my channel that is of interest to you because I've never really done a video like this before. If you're going to stick around, cool, but ultimately this video today is just for me. I've been watching this unfold for the past week and I have a lot to say and not a lot of people to say it to. So I'm just using this as a way to put my thoughts on the matter out into the universe, unload all that I feel like I need to say on the situation, and then leave it all behind. I'm going to use my channel as my emotional dumping ground, if you will. So if you're watching this, I'm going to assume that you know the basic gist of what's been unfolding there. I'm not going to do like a detailed timeline or anything, nor will I be getting into detail about Ethan's comments on Israel and Palestine, just because, frankly, I don't feel qualified to discuss the topic as a whole, which I feel would be deserved. I want to start by saying that I used to watch the H3 videos all the time. I was a big fan. I used to watch the podcast with my husband. I just sort of got burnt out on the podcast after a while. Uh, it just seemed to just be a lot of negativity, really. Um, that's just my personal preference. Ethan could post whatever he wants on his channel, obviously. But I did stay pretty up to date on the lore, just because my husband watches the show constantly. At the same time, I'd say that I was a casual iDubbbz fan. Um, I I didn't watch every video. I didn't agree with everything he did in every video. Um, I liked like the legit food reviews and the bad unboxings, and the rice gum diss track was pretty funny. I like watching creator clash, but I'd say more so just because of the other creators involved. So that's sort of my history with the two channels. So fast forward to the content cop episode. um, my husband and I were picking up our son from school, and we saw that notification come up, and we were like, oh shit, we got to watch that. So as soon as we got home, we put it on, and then we had seen that Ethan had already responded in the podcast episode that day. So we watched that immediately afterwards. I really, really wish that he would have just um, waited and watched it on his own and then came back with a response, because the eventual recorded response that we got from the H3 channel so much more measured and coherent. So we watched Wednesday's podcast episode, then we waited and we watched Friday's. That whole experience was just infuriating. Ethan and Hila were just so fired up, and they were just not letting any of Ian's thoughts just play through. Ethan would just pause every 2 seconds to like nitpick every single little word choice that Ian was making, and then he would like rewind a couple seconds and then watch and then pause it at the same spot to get re-angry and reiterate the thing that he just said. They ended up, in my opinion, missing a lot of the points that Ian was trying to make. I don't watch sports, but this was like my Super Bowl, guys. Like, I was yelling at my TV. Also, just how smug they were about, like how stupid Ian was for posting this, and how obviously he was just doing this for clout. That really put me off. So after watching all of the videos that have been uploaded so far on the situation, I gotta say, I think that both parties handled this situation pretty poorly. I would like to address both sides individually and I will be starting with Ian. I think that, firstly, that whole opening skit with Hassan and everybody was in pretty bad taste. I believe I know what he was going for, like, ooh, Ethan, we're all ganging up on you. This is your nightmare. Like a hyperbole kind of thing. But he had to have known that getting together with these certain creators and filming this whole thing, and that being the first thing in the episode, was going to make Ethan see red. And he's not going to listen to a single point that Ian was making. And that's exactly what happened. Furthermore, I absolutely agree that he should have disclosed that the majority of the clips he was using were from the episode of the podcast where the same day they had been visited by CPS. I think he could have clarified certain points he was trying to make better, and it did seem like he was tiptoeing around the CPS situation. As for Ethan and Hila, okay, so here's what I have gathered just from watching the two videos, as far as like, here's how the situation went. Ethan and Hila both made some political comments. Ian and or Anissa had heard these comments and thought, no, don't love that, and decided to distance themselves from Ethan and Hila, at least publicly. The timeline gets a little confusing from here, but the CPS thing happened, and around the same time, um, Ethan and Hila discovered that Ian and Anissa were in the DMs of these creators who, at the very least, weren't discouraging their audience from reporting them to CPS. So Ethan and Hila texted Ian and or Anissa to, basically ask what the fuck. Ian asked if they could have a private phone conversation regarding the whole situation, and Ethan basically told them, either you make a public statement or I'm never speaking to you again. Ian's response, or lack thereof, um, basically communicated to Ethan, okay, bet, so long. Then Ethan and Hila went on the podcast the day that CPS visited their home and just basically unloaded on everyone who was even remotely involved. So here's my thing. Um, I I do really try to put myself in other people's shoes, basic empathy, right? And I know it's really obnoxious to just be that guy, who's like, oh, if a gunman broke into my home, I would have tackled him and everyone would have clapped. But I'm sorry, please bear with me. I'm going to be that guy for a minute. I thankfully have never been in the situation where CPS has come to my home to question my parenting. Um, and I know that that must have hurt. I know that that must have been scary and upsetting, and I really do truly feel for them in that situation. I don't know why they didn't just decide to call off the pod that day. I also don't really understand why they directed so much anger at Ian and Anissa for not making a public statement, because like, realistically, I don't know how much good that would have done. I don't think that it would have hurt if they did, and it would have been nice of them, even just to say, yeah, I don't agree with this person politically, but trying to have their children taken away from them is just doing too much. However, they are not obligated to do that. I feel like, I'm sorry, I feel like if it were me, I would not have even asked that of them. Even if it was like a really good friend that I was speaking to constantly. Would I have had a private conversation with that person to see if they were aware of what their other friends were saying about me? Absolutely. Ultimately, I probably would have been just fine never speaking to that person again if, from what I gathered of the conversation, I felt like they were like siding with the other people who were encouraging this type of behavior. I would like to think that I would not go on air publicly shit on these people who seemingly had very little to do with the situation and weaponize my audience to go and give these people shit. I think that most importantly, Ethan should have taken that phone call. He doesn't know what Ian was going to tell him. And he also doesn't know what specifically were in those DMs. Maybe they were trying to quietly and privately discourage these people. Maybe not, but you never know, right? I also think that even just based solely on how that text conversation played out according to what Ethan said, the friendship did seem very transactional to him, or at least this specific instance did. You know, like, do this for me or I will no longer associate with you. It didn't seem like an ask, it seemed like a demand. Also, Ethan, if you're watching this, I don't know why you would be, but if you are, leave Lena alone, please, and let her make her own decisions. Okay, thank you. I would like to end this video just by saying that if you think it's funny or satisfying to see a person's children taken away from them just because you don't like that person, I think that you are a very sick individual. I've been a mandated reporter my entire career, and I've had to report people to CPS, and I do not take that shit lightly. It breaks my heart every time because I know at the end of the day, like, I only see a fraction of what's going on at home, for better or for worse. But at the same time, all I'm thinking about is getting that child into a better situation, you know, whether it's through like parenting classes or just straight up removing the child from the home. I don't like to see families torn apart, but I don't like to see kids in danger either. I have also been in foster care myself. And that shit is traumatizing, like even in the best case scenario. Again, I take this shit very seriously. And if you don't have the child's welfare in mind when you are making that phone call, you need to fucking look at yourself. Okay, I think I've said everything I felt like saying on the situation. Um, I'm hopefully going to be getting back to the book reviews soon. I haven't really been in the best headspace lately, but I'm getting there. So hopefully I'll be getting those out again soon. Um, Take care, everybody, and thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye.